Super excited to announce a new partner that I'm working with, Meat Locker Official. They are a meat company. They ship all kinds of meat. Go check out their website, meatlocker.com. It's amazing. Man, let me tell you, the bacon. The bacon's the best bacon I've ever had in my life. All the other meats are very good. I had a nice ribeye the other day, chicken breast, all kinds of stuff. The steaks and the bacon, though, for sure the best bacon I've ever had in my life. Meatlocker.com. Type in the code name Easton 2019. EASTON 2019, and you will receive 15% off of your order. Again, meatlocker.com. Get some bacon. Evo Labs products. Man, I love a couple of Evo Labs products that I like to use. I like to use their skin repair and intensive salve. Man, the skin repair is amazing for when I get like these little abrasions on my skin, and you're always worried about like whether you're going to get an infection or not, or how it's going to heal. Skin repair, Evo Labs skin repair. Go check them out, evolabs.com. And then 2, their intensive salve. Okay. Again, this is for like a little bit of soreness after I train at the end of the day. Rub it all over, like especially like my upper back and my arms, then my legs. Love it. Again, evolabs.com. I do also like their Meditate. It's a CBD pen where, at the end of the night, it helps me calm down, go to sleep, especially after like intense training during the day. So those 3 products are 3 of my favorite products from Evo Labs. 1, the skin repair, 2, the intense salve, and 3, the CBD pen. The Gospel Fire also brought to you by Onnit, ONNIT. Go to their website and go check out their products. Code name is Eliot. You put in Eliot, ELIOT, and you will get 10% off all of your Onnit products. I personally like the Alpha Brain. That is my favorite product, and every once in a while I like to use their Shroom Tech as well. So those 2 products are my favorite from Onnit. So again, Evo Labs guys at evolabs.com and Onnit, ONNIT. Check them out. Thanks for the support of the podcast from those guys, and hell yeah, let's get after it. Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter Eliot Marshall, and this is the Gospel of Fire, where we're going to go through the fire to learn how to live the best life possible. All right, guys, here we are, another episode of Gospel of Fire. I am here with who I would say is the best coach that I've ever met. Loren Landow, what's up, man? How are you?
What's up, my man? That's pretty. That's big praise coming from you, man. I don't know if I appreciate it, but I thank you very much. That's for damn sure.
You taught me one thing: consistency,
man.
And that's what coaches need to be, right? You said it's like parenting.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's like no matter what's going on in your life or anything like that, you have to be consistent, and you're always consistent.
I appreciate that. I've always felt that our number one job as coaches is to be the backbone for our athletes who really want to be anything but consistent. So we have to show it for them to understand it.
Right. No matter what they do, right?
100%, whether it's, your nutrition, your technique, your strategies. We'll get into it, obviously, I'm sure during the show, but, everything from the off season, how your off season, a lot of people look at an off season of whatever their given sport is as a break, a woe is me time, because I put in so much work during the season. And you know what? Honestly, if you're not consistent within your off season, your seasons will be limited.
Yeah. So we'll start here, I guess. I met you as a coach. Like you were my coach, and that is what I would say you did amazing, right? Like it was like, okay, we show up at Lawrence, 2 to 3 days a week. And it's consistent. We knew exactly what we were getting, and it didn't matter fight, no fight. Like sure, during camp, we didn't have to get on the woodway in the off season, out of camp,
That was the only consistency I had with that.
Yeah, but other than that, it was like you're going to show up and you're going to put in an hour of work. And he's going to talk to you about your water intake, which you normally don't give a fuck about. Like, what you really helped me is you got me off the goddamn cardio machines, because I had to always lose a lot of weight, before, like I had to lose always 25, 30 pounds for my fights. And like, man, I would kill myself just like doing pointless, mindless cardio just to lose the weight. And you got me off of that. And that, like, it made my life better, because like, just, and 5 more hours of cardio every week sucked.
Yeah, there's some time for some other things. If you're not doing that much cardio, the rest. The way I always looked at it is maybe there's different strategies that you use as an athlete when you can grind. As we have to tick the same box. And for me, when I met you, it was the same thing. I saw you you were in a routine, you're in a habit of what you felt had worked for you. But I unfortunately would look over at whether it was the elliptical, the treadmill, and I was like, this poor guy's running himself into the ground. He's low on calories. He's pushing it to the extreme, and he's doing it every day. And for me, I looked at it as, one, it's not sustainable, but two, at some point, your body is really going to sit there and say, okay, you're not feeding me, but you're working me really hard. Well, I'm going to hold on to all my calories that I can, because I don't know if I'm in the middle of a desert and I have no food. So I'm going to go into self-protection mode. And so what happens is the body can actually work against us at times. So I just looked at you and knew that if we did the right training, we did the right things, your weight would come off correctly, but then you would be probably better suited for your technical and tactical sessions with better focus, better energy, etc.
Yeah, it worked. I felt way better. That's for goddamn sure. Because it drained me. It's draining, like to walk into 24-hour fitness at 8:00 at night when you've already trained for 3 hours, and you're not going to get any food after the session you're about to put in. So, but yeah, that, that for sure, like, changed my career. So that was, but it was the way in which you did it. You weren't like, I didn't walk in, you didn't meet me, and then you're like, yeah, you can't do that.
Right,
especially like you're a strength and conditioning coach, right? And we're fighters or any athlete, right? You're not the coach that's like the sport.
Right.
So you probably have to have a different approach. I don't know, right? Because like, your football coach or your striking coach, you're like, all right, man, this motherfucker's going to get me to fucking,
Yeah.
And this other thing, it's like this thing that people like neglect a lot and don't really care about. So like, how have you done what you've done?
You know what I think for me is I've learned what my role is, Eliot, whether it was in the fight game, whether it was with my Olympic swimmers, whether it was now in my role being a strength coach in the NFL. My role is simple. I am support staff. I am support staff to those head coaches whose really butts are on the line with how we perform. So one, I think a lot of strength coaches like to beat their chest and like to be the ego in the room, or they like to be the voice in the room. And to me, I am here to support whichever head coach or other coaches in that room who are working directly with the athlete on the tactics. So I learned pretty quickly in my career is that I have to have a very good working relationship with those coaches. And two, I have to have extreme transparency in my communication with them. And I have to be a good listener to those coaches and learn from the things that I hear from them. So when I got involved with you with MMA, I had worked with Brendan first and then started trickling with some of you guys, but I was really learning the game, the first 5 years that I was working with you guys, and just trying to learn the game, learn the culture, not even just the game, the culture. And, so I had to really pay attention, but also understand that, if I smash you guys in strength and conditioning, which a lot of strength and conditioning coaches do, well, then you're worthless to your coaches in tactical sessions. And at the end of the day, my strength and conditioning, it can be a difference maker, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, if your tactics suck and your skills suck, it doesn't matter how much strength and conditioning you do, especially at the high levels of the UFC.
Sure. And that's for every sport you do.
100%.
Right? That's for
100%.
that's for all you sports. Yeah, I mean, like, you could get me in the best shape of my life, and you know, if you put me on the Broncos field, I'm fucked.
Yep. Yeah. You will have the best fitness on that field. However, your tactics might not help you out there.
Yeah, I'm going to get run over. So, man, let's back up. Where did this all start for you, man? Like, how? So, like, you know, dude, like, I guess, like, where you are now, like, I mean, I hate this word. I'm gonna say this term, but I don't believe in this term. But like you've made it, right? Like, this is like the goal for a strength and conditioning coach, is to be the strength and conditioning coach for like an NFL team. After you like were the strength and conditioning coach for an Olympian, you know, like, and all of that stuff. So, and you know, you were the strength and conditioning coach for the UFC heavyweight champ, Team Carwin. So. Like, that's a resume. That's a resume that I would say most don't get to have, you know. Where did it get started, man? Like, how did, you know?
I'll tell you what, first of all, you know, let me just kind of go to where we're at right now. You know, being the strength and conditioning coach for the Broncos was never like my end goal. It was never like I had this vision of this shiny bicycle in the store window and I looked at it every day and said, I want that. It was never like that. But I knew I was going to end up there one day, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So now what I'll do is I'll reverse the story. So my story probably honestly began when I was younger. This is going to sound, I won't bore you too much with details, but it began when I was pretty young. I had asthma growing up, and I was never allowed to play sports, like really in my elementary ages. You know, they didn't, as stupid as it sounds, and you might remember this as well, but I'm a little bit older than you. But if you had asthma when you were younger, the key to avoiding asthma attacks and issues with it was don't exert yourself,
especially in school and stuff.
Oh,
they wouldn't 100%. Let you do anything in school. I remember that.
Yep. My mom wouldn't let me play any sports in elementary school, but then I'd go on recess, and I was actually pretty darn good athlete in recess. And at field day, I could do field day, and I'd usually smash people in like the sprint events and everything like that. But again, my mom wouldn't let me play sports younger. She got me into all things martial arts. She got me into Taekwondo when I was younger, and that was kind of my outlet. And I just started getting more into the fitness.
Where'd you grow up, Loren?
I grew up here, Westminster, Colorado. Went to Choi Martial Arts. That was down on 72nd and Lowell about.
Okay.
And, you know, that's kind of how it started for me. And, you know, and then as I got older, you know, my mom's like, oh, okay, maybe you can play sports. Maybe you won't end up in the hospital, because, you know, there were times where I'd spend 14 days in the hospital with severe asthma attacks.
Oh, shit.
You know,
you had asthma. Fuck.
Yeah, I had it pretty bad. And, you know, you're in oxygen tents and things like that. So they were pretty concerned. And here's the crazy thing. They do the whole allergy testing with you, mm-hmm. where they put all the pricks on your back and see what you respond to and what you're allergic to. Well, one of the biggest things, aside from like the typical horse and dog hair and cat hair, corn products were a big thing that I was allergic to. So imagine being in elementary school and you can't have anything that has corn syrup, cornstarch, cornmeal, anything in it.
And you got to remember, everyone, this isn't 2019.
No,
this is like this is. I mean, how in the 80s, right? In the 80s, they're like, boy, you figure that out for yourself.
80s, late 70s, yeah. And man, that shows how old I am. But yeah, you figure it out, and I'm eating really the cleanest diet. I guess I was probably well ahead of the curve.
Sure.
But because of that, at those young ages, I really never developed like an affinity for sugars and things like that. So fast forward, I get through my high school.
God damn, you lucky motherfucker, Loren.
Oh yeah, because that's why people look at me now. I won't eat cake or ice cream. They're like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, I never got addicted to it when I was young.
Yeah.
So high school, ages, everything like that. I turned into a pretty nice athlete, being able to be a 3-sport athlete at times, and I was okay. I was just okay. And as I went into college, I said I knew I wasn't going to be anything on the business side, or that's what I felt at the time. And I had an affinity for lifting. Fell in love with the weight room. I had an uncle who got me a weight set when I was about 14, and I fell in love with it. So naturally, I wanted to go to college and say, okay, can I help athletes, and can I use the weight room experience? And I went into the exercise physiology route at Northern Colorado, got my degree, and immediately after that went into cardiac rehab and pulmonary rehab. And to me, that was it was a stressful job, but it wasn't as weird as it sounds. It wasn't incredibly rewarding from the standpoint. A lot of the people who were really ill, they didn't want to change their lifestyle habits. They didn't want to stop smoking. They didn't want to stop drinking. They didn't want to stop eating bad. They were content with the circumstances that they had created, and not all of them.
I'll come back to the hospital.
Yeah,
I'll come back to the hospital.
Yeah. They were almost content with it. Like they had gone so far in a cycle of life, and this is kind of who I am. I'm still going to smoke my cigars or my cigarettes. And that bothered me a lot, actually, to see that, where your life is on the line and you're unwilling to make the changes. So I naturally kind of started to you really cross over to the athletic population. And that's when I was able to, start working with some athletes. I really had no idea what I was doing in my early 20s. I mean, I was just trying to figure it out, make people big and strong. Really, a lot of my understanding of weight training at that time was more bodybuilding in nature or powerlifting. It wasn't really anything that was performance driven. So, as you do in your career path, you kind of latch on to a couple different mentors and start learning the game a little bit and start understanding and start paying attention and not having so much of an ego that you feel you know it all, where you're actually open to learning. And from there, I guess the story kind of really blossomed for me, where I started working with athletes of all ages and abilities, started getting my hands on combine athletes 20 years ago and preparing them for the draft. And I guess the rest is history for the most part. But I love trying to figure out puzzles. And to me, I look at every athlete, whether it was you coming in for a fight camp and we know we're 25 pounds overweight and we have a fight in 8 weeks, how do I put the pieces of this puzzle together? And I thoroughly love that part of my job, trying to figure out riddles or puzzles. And that's how I look at it.
So here we are now, with you and the Broncos. Like, what do? You how many guys? There's 52 or 54 guys on the squad.
Well, we have 53 on the active roster. Then we carry 10 on the practice squad. But right now, this time of year, we have 90 on our roster for the off season. Right. So I've got 90 guys that myself and my coaches over there are in charge of their physical preparation. And, 90 guys in a room, we have about 40 at a time. Okay. So it's manageable, and we have 4 coaches. And, our biggest thing, it's no different than the fight game, Eliot, where my job is to best prepare these guys from a physical standpoint. I need to make them stronger, more powerful, better fitness. And I need to be able to do so in a way that I can hand them to the field so they can go to practice and not worry about excessive fatigue, excessive soreness. So again, it's working through that riddle or those puzzles of how to perfectly balance it all.
So what's it like? You have Von Miller, right? Super Bowl MVP. Is right? Wasn't he for 50?
He was.
He was. Yeah, he was Super Bowl 50 MVP. I mean, just a fucking stud and a specimen. Yeah. All the money in the world. Like, so it's a little different than the fight game, right? Because none of us guys were ever rich, right? Like, not like that, right? Not like that. How do you, and like, I mean, like, come on, this guy's got it figured out, right? Like, how do you motivate, especially in May, right? How do you talk to Von? How do you? I mean, who else? What other studs are on the team? Like, he's the biggest, right? He's the biggest stud on the team by far.
Yeah, he's a massive name, and everybody knows how good he is, and he could potentially go down as one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Yeah.
I think that when you look at a guy like that, I think they have an internal motivational strategy I also think they have a clock that is a clock through the year where they understand there's certain times a year where they have to start ramping it up. But one thing I'll say about a guy like Bon is he's always, working on physical preparation, whether it's fitness, whether it's, the weight room side of things. He's always working on it. So those guys, as you know, Eliot, like they're just built differently mentally. They're always motivated, or they have a good idea of what the end is that they want, their legacy that they want to, the legacy they want to leave behind, whether it's on the field or off the field. So from a motivational standpoint, I'd say he's no different than anybody else I get in front of. I need to make sure that we all understand what our goals are. Our goals are to come together as a team right now at this point in time of the year. Everybody talks about no. If you just talk about that, foundation culture, establish your foundations of your accountability. If you don't set those foundations, all the others is fluff talk. Like, yeah, everybody can talk about wanting to hold the Lombardi or whatever, but if you're not willing to put in the deep practice or the difficult conversations of accountability, we're not going to reach that goal.
Sure. Yeah. No. It's more than it's more than the day of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Everybody looks at the destination. And to me, I look at the journey. And that journey for us, it started April 2nd when we started our off season. But, and it doesn't stop at any one point in time during our breaks during the summer either. So just like a good fighter through a fight camp, his fight camp starts well before the fight camp actually is announced, because you have to work on your weaknesses and your technical flaws away from camp. If you think that's going to tighten up during camp, that's going to be pretty short-lived in expectations. So you have to really be motivated and disciplined yourself to, one, be honest with yourself of where my holes are in my game. Two, drop the ego enough that you can listen to your coaches when they tell you these are the holes in your game. You can hear them and not disagree with them. And three, then put in the dedicated time to take care of those weaknesses. However, here's one of the biggest things I see with all athletes is some coaches said, this is what your weakness is. Your weakness is your ground game. And so what happens is they work so much on their ground game that they did not put enough work into what got you to the dance.
Yeah, I did that.
Is that right?
I did that. Yep. Yeah, that was me. That was 100% me, man. Like my weakness was my striking. So I was like, okay, I did striking every fucking day, Loren, every day. Right. And but who was I with? I was with Brendan. I was with Shane. I was with Nate. And these guys were just powerhouses, which I wasn't.
Monster strikers,
right?
Monster strikers.
And monster power, monster power, which is another, like they were athletes. We can just say it. I'm not the best athlete you've ever seen.
I would not take you with my first pick in basketball.
Yeah, no. Please, you're not taking me with your first pick. You might take me with your first pick in hard work, because I'll work my ass off.
100%.
But as far as like the pure athletic ability, so those guys could close. Even before learning anything, they could close their eyes, throw a punch, and people were falling down. That wasn't me. I didn't have that. So but I wanted that. So I was like, okay, my striking. And I just couldn't get but what I was, if I got people down, then you're fucked. You'd be fucked. And I went so far to the striking to bring up my weakness that I don't know. Gary Vee says it. He goes, yeah, you need to work on your weakness, but you need to quadruple down on your strength.
100%. Who brought you to the dance?
Yeah.
Eliot, I think that's what happens. We see that in the fight game a lot, I believe, and you see it as a coach. I'm sure is that it's the sexy part of the sport. It's the knockouts. It's the highlights. And so what happens is we fall in love with that instead of saying, you know what, let me be true to who I am as a martial artist, and I want my skill set to be so strong in this. that if that person gets on the ground with me, they know it's over.
It's over. And I was so close to that anyway.
You were world class.
And I didn't quadruple down, and then it faded, and whatever. The story's the story, but that's a good point, right? Like who took you to the dance?
Yep.
You know, there's something to say to what got you there. You know, and of course you need to improve, and of course you need to be working on things. But yeah, I mean, like, let's go back to the Von Miller thing. You don't see him fucking playing DB. You know, he's not like, coach, put me in against Julio Jones. He's like, no, man, I'm gonna get fucking Matt Ryan. Watch this.
100% right. I mean, make your strengths be your strengths. Make sure that your weaknesses aren't glaring, but my gosh, you know, groove the heck out of your strengths, because I love the HBO special. It was called True Detective. Oh, yeah. And the very first season, did you watch that?
Well, okay, so the first season's amazing. The second season's unwatchable. And then I would say the third season's pretty good too. Yes.
So the first season, Matthew McConaughey's you know, who he plays, he says, you know what, in this lifetime, he goes, I only think there's enough time in this lifetime to be great at one thing. And I heard that in that, and he was talking about being a detective, and I heard about that, and I see so many people who try to be great at all these little things, and you can't. You have to have laser focus, because our lifetime is only long enough to maybe be great at that one thing.
God, I hear you, bro. I fucking could. My wife and I talk about this. I could care less that I can't fix shit.
Yep.
You know, I could care fucking less that I can't fix shit, because all I really care about outside of like parenthood, you know, like outside of parenthood and like connection with human beings, like good connections. All I care about is martial arts. Like you know, and I like barbecue, so I'm okay. Maybe two things, you know, but that's it. Like, man, I am going to get so good at martial arts, in my opinion, right? I'm sure you're the same way with fitness. I'm going to get so good that, like, if I need something fixed, I'll call the guy. I don't need to fucking do it at like 20% of what that guy could do it, you know, and money. I don't even think about it, because I'm going to get so good at martial arts and like the business side, everything of martial arts, that it ain't going to fucking matter. I'll have plenty of money to do whatever the fuck I want, but I'm not going to spend any time learning how to fix a car.
Yep. I'll hire somebody out whose skill set is that. And I know where my skill set is. And it's funny because I have coaches all the time asking me, hey, you want to golf? Hey, you want to, you know, do jiu-jitsu? Hey, you want to do striking? And my biggest issue with any of those is I will not put enough time into those things to be as good as I want. And I know how much they're going to take away from what I truly want to be a black belt in. Yeah. And I want to be a black belt in my craft.
Look, I think you need rest. So that's why I have like these two things. I want barbecue, like cooking, because like that's purely fun. People like I really like the barbecue. So people are like, man, you should enter like barbecue competitions and stuff like that. And I'm like, no way, fuck that. Because the second I do that, now I have to go try to be the best at that. Like, so I can't. I purely only want to do it for fun. Like, that goes like the barbecue thing for me goes into like my human connection. It's where it's on the mat and with food is how I like to connect with people. So like I want people to come to my house and have like a phenomenal meal, you know? And so that's important to me. So that's why I do the barbecue thing. But other than that, no, I don't, you're right. I don't want to golf, you know, I don't want to do anything else. Like all I want to do is like this one area.
I'm exactly the same way. Like I get so tunnel vision, and you know, maybe it's bad because I don't get involved into other things, but I can't shake what's in my mind, and I almost don't want to fill up space in my mind of things that aren't helping me achieve the goal of being as great as I can be in my field.
Dude, for me, it happened with our business, you know, like a couple of years ago, I was actually just talking, we joked about it with my CEO, Mike. I used to like look at all these stats, bro, you know, for the schools, you know, I mean, like you could have asked me any number and I would have known it. you know, and I would have known it because I was constantly on the fucking computer. And maybe it was good for us at the beginning, you know, when Amal and I were first expanding, you know, maybe we needed that and it was really important. But then, like, dude, like, I had a fucking breakdown. You know, and that was part of it. Like, and then I like literally had a breakdown. Like, I fucking riddled with anxiety and panic, and like that's where it all came to. And I don't think it came from just that, but that was part of it. Because I was like, where'd those two? Like, you know, I'd wake up, I'd look at the members, I'd be like, okay, we had 100 members today, and then I'd wake up tomorrow and 95 members, and I would sit there for hours trying to figure out where those 5 members went. And if I couldn't find them, I'd be on the phone with the software company for hours. You know, hey, man, I only found 3. 3 people signed the cancel form. 1 person didn't pay. So where's these other 2? Where are these other 2 guys? You know? Yeah. And then I had to get to this point where I was like, you know what do I do the best? Oh, I know what I do the best. I teach martial arts.
Yep.
How about I just do that? How about I don't worry about any of this? I hire people who are into this kind of stuff, give them the power to do that, you know? And let them crush it, but I'm going to go teach the most badass class that anybody's ever had.
Because that's why they're there. Yeah. That's why they're there. Eliot, I've always said it, you know, if you take care of A, B takes care of itself. Mm-hmm. And you know, whether it's athletes who, you know, really maybe their end game is to buy houses and cars and things like that. If you make it that extrinsic motivation, you're never going to reach your goal and your dream because that motivation won't hold you. However, if you make it purely about taking care of whatever A is, if A is you wanting to be the best you can be, all those other things will come with it. And that's what people don't understand is they make it usually on the extrinsic rewards or the numbers of memberships. But to your point, you got in and you did what you are a black belt, multiple stripe black belt in, and you connect with people. And then next thing you know, it doesn't matter what the paper says on numbers because you know it's on members because you know it's going up.
I know it's going to go up because I'm going to give them such a good experience, you know, I know it's going to go up. There's no way it's not going up. So, yeah. So, and look, all like for business, right? The numbers are important, but there's people that love that shit. Yeah. There's people that fucking love that shit. Like, I don't know if you met Mike, but he's our, you know, we hired a CEO. He fucking loves it. You know, we didn't hire when we just moved him up to one. He loves it. Moved him up to one. Yeah, he loves it. He fucking loves it. So let him do that. Yeah. You know?
And then what happens, guys like you and I get in the way of Mike or in my case, Amber, we get in their way and we screw things up.
Yeah. You know, I need to shut the fuck up, get on the goddamn floor and be like, yo, who wants to learn? You know? And who wants to learn?
Right, brother.
So let me ask you a question, Loren, because I know, and I can edit this out if you want, but I normally don't. So when we met you, you know, when I met you, you were going through a tough time in your life a little bit, you know? Yeah. And like relationship wise, family wise, stuff like that, you know? But we never saw that, you know? Like there was never a bad day. And there had to be some bad days. Like you can't tell me there weren't bad days, you know? How did you handle that?
Yeah, I mean it was interesting because when I met all you guys in the fight game, I was in my point of life that a lot of you guys are in now. So I was probably 10 years into marriage, just had 2 kids. They were young. You're not getting much sleep. You're busy as can be. And what happened was I was trying to build a career path, and within that I got into some partnerships on the career path side that I got into partnerships that really turned out poorly, unfortunately. And you start to see some bad sides of people in the business world. And it was kind of like everything kind of compounded all at once. You know, losing a business, my marriage is on the rocks. I've got 2 young kids, and you're just trying to figure out everything. And, one thing that I tried to always do, though, was to survive and what is my next plan of attack going to be. And from there, the business that was failing was called Velocity. And I hit it immediately when that was really when that candle had fully burned out. I created a relationship with Stedman Hawkins, and I created their sports performance, and that's where you guys all met me.
Right.
So from there, that was a little bit of the rekindling of some of the avalanche of things that were happening. But the vision I had to be so strong, and I had to be so dedicated to my vision to help get me out of the rut I was in. There were some awful days, the days you don't want to get up, but I'd force myself to get up at 5 a.m. and just put one foot in front of the other.
How did you do that? How did you do that? Like, cause I like I don't know. So this podcast, I like the how we like the things that make us successful, but I like people to hear the shit side of it, right? Because
no doubt.
Because that's where the true power is for everyone. Because the only thing that we have in common is the shit side, So how did you get yourself out, man?
I think the biggest thing that I did to get myself out is I forced myself to stay on a schedule. Waking up at 5:30, whatever it was, and made myself go into work early every day, made myself go into a position where I was trying to build a new ability. It was had really started to lose a lot of trust in people, especially on the business side. And unfortunately, that still holds true for me this day. I rarely trust people on business because I've seen it burn me too many times. And that's why with Landow Performance, I had to become my own guy, because I want to make sure I am 100% in charge of all decisions that affect my livelihood, but my coach's livelihood. But Eliot, I've got to be honest with you, like it was probably the thing that got me out of it were you guys, my clients,
right?
Because you guys got me out of it, because I would show up to work like nothing was wrong or nothing was going on, because I've always said every day in this lifetime, every day you're either the hammer or you're the nail. And what I've always believed in, regardless of which day I am the nail or which day I'm the hammer, my clients should never know by my actions. I should be the same. And that goes back to the consistency thing that we talked about. However, so what I did is I came in and I give you guys your sessions and prepare you for your fight camps. And you guys, unbeknownst to you, you guys were lifting me up.
God, I have the same story, Loren.
Do you really?
It's my students. That's why
100%.
That's why I love them. That's why I won't take a Tuesday, Thursday off.
Yep.
Unless I'm out of town, because fuck, man, they saved my life.
Yeah, like you guys did the same for me.
Yeah, man, it's so and that's where this whole thing, like, for me, it's where this whole thing of like other people got me, like that other people are so important. Like the people in my life, because they saved my life. Like, I mean, I don't know what I would, if I didn't have my students, I don't know what I would have done, because there was nothing for me that I could have done to get like I was done. I wasn't going to be the best in the world. None of that stuff was going to happen, like, so that was gone. Like, so just showing up and seeing everybody and being like, man, I'm going to teach the best classes that I can. Solely for them, and then the people were coming to see you, like, saved my life,
dude. And that's no discredit to what my wife and my kids like. They all did the same for me as well. You look at your kids,
but
and
they're part of the problem as well.
Well, I guess part of the equation.
Yeah.
Part of the equation for sure.
Right.
And for me, I looked at it as, okay, I have a responsibility to be this provider, to be this, this source of strength, the source of everything. So I rarely dump at the house any emotions. But what I was able to do within the fight game is I've always found, or not even the fight game, but just my clients in general, is it's like a revolving door. Like, if I give you the best me, you guys give me the best you, and it fills me up. It fills me up.
Yes.
And if you're at work 12 hours a day, man, that supercharges your battery, man, and it helps you freaking get out of bed that next day to be able to put that one foot in front of the other. Because if people look at your social media, they look at my social media, they're like, oh my God, everything's always going so right for them. And oh my God, here's another project. Oh my God, Eliot's opened another school. He wrote a book. Right. Loren's doing this, doing that. But the truth of the matter is, those are in attempts to market, but they don't see the shitstorm that happens behind the curtain sometimes. And I wouldn't even say shitstorm, but the variables, like people think that oh, you're so lucky because you've done X. Well, I've gone through my share of turbulence during the time as well. I just don't profess it out there. I don't put it out there.
I do put it out there, and it does, but it, like, we handle it differently. But I agree, like, the shitstorm's coming. The shitstorm's always coming.
It's coming.
But for me, the way I do it, just like that, like, man, it energizes me. Like, dude, when I go to Whole Foods, I fucking love everyone at Whole Foods. I talk to all of the people that work at Whole Foods because it energizes me, because it's the only, like, all I know is all I have is this very moment. So if I can make this moment the best possible for me, it's a total selfish thing, right? It's let's be clear here. Everything we do is selfish. No one does anything just pure selflessly. It's impossible.
100%.
It comes down to, I like this, so I'll do this. And sure, okay, it helps other people too. But I love the people at Whole Foods. I love everywhere I go. I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's go. I'm going to make this person's day better because it's going to make my day better.
Yep. And that's one thing I'll really say that I really loved about your book too, is going through it, the shit, you said it, the shitstorm's coming. Mm-hmm. But what I loved about your book is you kind of detailed like what your steps were to get out of the funk.
Yeah.
Whether it was, you had your sister or a friend that you could call and rely on, or go over to your sister's house and just sit and express. But what you did is you also said, look, these are the steps I took. I don't know if these are going to help anybody but me, but these are the steps that help me.
Yeah.
And I think, just like you said, like everybody's going to handle their storm differently. The number one thing is don't give up in the middle of that storm, because you can do it. And you and I both know, and I tell my coaches at LP this all the time. If you can weather the storm, and I'm talking about building a business and things like that, if you can weather the storm, on the other side of that storm, it is beautiful.
Beautiful. Every storm that comes, I know, I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, this is gonna suck,
Yep.
But it's just the old adage, if it doesn't kill me, if it doesn't kill me, it makes me stronger.
But and if you and I can't weather the storms for our athletes, how do we expect them to weather the storms?
Mm-hmm.
And we sit there and we can profess that you got to have this strength and this discipline and this consistency, but yet you and I get thrown off course because of a bad day or a bad week or a bad month. Like then we're just lying to our athletes or our coaches who work for us. And so we have to understand that it's the resiliency we gain from those storms that make us exceptional, that make us robust, that make us bulletproof in a sense. And, people always ask me in my career path, like I've had the failed businesses with partners and things like that. With all that aside, with, turmoils in relationships, I would not change one aspect of it because I learned so much.
Dude, like that you can't. Because then you would, like, what's the typical thing? Like if you ask a guy what he would do, you'd bang more chicks, right? But then, then if you talk to a dad and you break it down, you go, okay, you bang more chicks, right? So if you bang one more chick, if you bang that chick that you missed it with, when your wife came, she might just be a chick that you bang, and if she's just a chick that you bang, then you don't have these kids that you have. So you might have kids, but I don't want kids. I want the two that I have. Like, because I get it. They're the only ones I know. So like, what would I do differently? I wouldn't do a fucking thing differently. Because I want to be right here, right now, talking to Loren with my kids downstairs, getting, like that's what I want. Like that's all it comes down to, because there's nothing else to have. Like what else is there? Especially when you add like family and children to the game, I think, like like and sure, business and yada yada. Like you how could you succeed without the failure of velocity? How could you know what you needed for LP, without the failure of velocity? You might have made the same. You might have made And how old were you when you were doing velocity?
You know what? I probably started at velocity probably 29, 30 years of age. It was about a 5-year project.
Yeah.
And every step of the way I've learned, here's what to do. Here's what not to do. And you learn from those failures. And I think people are so afraid of failing, or they're afraid of the collateral damage that it might have, or the social stigma it might have. And I'm a firm believer of this. I heard a gentleman say this at a conference. And he said, this day and age, he goes, we're so comfortable that we're miserable. And really what it comes down to is people just kind of stay away from the danger zone of difficult. They, if you need to look something up, you just pop open Google and search it. Like things are so much easier now that I think people are truly more miserable.
It's too easy.
And
yeah.
It's too easy.
It's too easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when you get thrust into something that's challenging or difficult, it's easier to go pick up another skill, or go, I'm going to try this instead, or I'm going to go get this job because I think the grass is going to be greener, instead of freaking planting your feet right in the fucking ground and saying, you know what, I'm going to plant my seed right here and I'm going to get really good at X. Yeah. Because every job, everything that you do is going to have its shit side to it.
Where's the hose? Where's the hose so I can water it?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly right.
That's how you fix brown grass, water. And you have to stand there and fucking do it.
You got to nurture it.
And when else, like when you were saying you were at velocity, your late 20s, dude, that's the time to fail.
Yeah.
Right? That's the time to fail. Like, you're like, what you have real young kids, right? Like, man, what does a baby need? A baby, no, a baby's not expensive. You know what's expensive? A 15-year-old.
Oh, dude, yeah.
A 15-year-old's expensive,
Dude, and now I'm getting closer to the college ages.
Yeah, so, that's expensive.
That's expensive.
Yeah. What's baby? A baby's cheap, man. You don't go out to dinner when you have a baby. You sit in the house and wipe dirty assholes, right? Like, there's no time to go to fucking Elway's for a steak.
You're absolutely right.
So so go ahead and fail. That's when you learn all your shit, And I thought of something else you said that's interesting with a lot of people approach Amal and I about like going into business with them, but I can't do it. I can't do it because, and I said this to a friend the other day, I only go into business with people that would kill somebody for my kids.
Yes. Somebody that's got your back so deeply.
Yeah. So deeply that like the fucking me over thing isn't even, it doesn't even cross my mind, because if they fucked me over, they couldn't possibly survive either.
Yeah.
Like, because fucking me will fuck them. And like, but there's only so many people in my life that works with,
That's on one hand, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe one hand.
Yeah. So
maybe a couple fingers.
Yeah. No, I have 3 of them. So, and that's not saying anything bad to anybody else, like, man, look, Loren, you and I are friendly. We're good friends, but it's not like we're that close. So it's okay. Like, but the problem is like, I think sometimes the social media and all this, it like wants people to think that like that you are that close. Dude, I have a lot of people I care about, but only a couple people like that. You can't have it. And that's fine. Like, I don't know what it is in the world that tells us today that that's not fine, but it really is okay that you can just be like good friends with somebody. They don't have to be your brother.
Right. You're exactly right. And I think that's just it. And I think when you understand that as life gets busier, I mean, your decisions in your circle, obviously your circle is going to get smaller as you get busier and more successful. Like, it just happens that way, because otherwise everybody's trying to get a piece of you. And not saying in a negative way. It's just you only have so much time to go around. And, if you saturate so much time into your businesses, and you've got to be able to save those times for those loved ones.
Yes. And you need you time. Like, if you got to have some you time, because if you don't have that, then other things do crumble. Other things definitely do crumble. I got one more question for you. You said it when we first started. You said you weren't doing any podcasts for like a year. What was or any like media stuff? Talk to me about that. What was?
Yeah, it's funny because I've had a lot of people ever since I took the job with Denver. They're like, "Wow, you're not speaking that much anymore at conferences." Right. I'd speak at well over 20 conferences a year, and I do probably 20 plus podcasts a year, and what I did is I made a pact to myself, not unlike when I started working with the fight game. Like I had to immerse myself into the culture of the Denver Broncos and immerse myself in the culture of the NFL, where I had zero distractions. My business, I handed it off to Amber and 2 other coaches. And I said, you 3 are the managerial head here. You guys make every decision in this facility. Keep me out of anything and everything unless it's a big ticket item. I said, but otherwise, I don't want anything to do with it. Because I had to immerse myself so much, so quickly into the Broncos culture, the NFL culture, to figure it out. And so that's really why I went on a hiatus. If you looked at my social media for the last year, I think I probably had 8 posts in the last year.
Nothing.
Nothing. I just went radio silent because I had and I still am putting so much of my attention and focus into making the Denver Broncos the best I can and really trying to solve the puzzle and riddle that's in front of me of maximally preparing our guys to be the best.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think a lot of people go the other way.
Oh, totally. They want to show what they're doing and get, but to me, it's a distraction to do that. I want to just sit there and say, you know what, I'm closing up shop to immerse in this process. No different to really hone in kickboxing skills. They just need to immerse themselves into the culture and into the solidarity of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I think I complain about this with the fighters sometimes. Like the guys that haven't made it yet, they care about their social media too much.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like guys, no, no. Like they're like, yeah, but Connor, dude, yeah, but Connor, yeah, okay, Connor. But nobody saw Connor's social media before he was Connor.
Right.
Right? Like he became Connor first.
Yeah.
Like you could have the best social media in the world, but if your skills suck, then no one's going to watch it. Like you got to knock people out. You got to submit people. You got to do the thing first. Like the way you get successful is the Broncos win.
Yep. Exactly right. And I'll tell you what, I have a thought on this. Social media, it's a great vehicle, no doubt. Yeah. It's an amazing vehicle, but it's a dangerous vehicle for your career because I think what people do with their social media is they're more wanting to show that they've made it versus making it. And that's a massive concern because you get a false sense of fulfillment and success because you can tag that I was in a Broncos mini camp or, I'm training next to, pick the fighter of your choice, Neil Magny, whoever, because I'm in the same room with them and you think that provides you the credibility. But at the end of the day, your bills and everything else and your lack of fulfillment are still the same. So social media is a very, very scary thing.
It's the slipperiest of slopes right now. We don't know how to handle it.
Yep, it is really scary, and it's very scary.
We don't because we just don't know how to handle it. We don't know what to do with it, right? Like it's like, I mean, even with our children, like I'm sure your girls go through it. Holy fuck, man! Like it's brutal. It's a brutal. It's amazing for society, but it's also brutal. Like because you can't get away from it. Our kids go to school. I know I'm changing the topic off sports and social to other aspects, but like when you and I were growing up, man, we could get made fun of all day at school, and then you come home and it ends, right? It's over. It doesn't end for our kids, because they'll get destroyed on social media all night, and then it'll be worse when they come back to school the next day. And back to the athlete thing with social media, it's like it's almost like like you said, like they made it. They're like, oh man, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, like it makes me feel like I did the thing. You know, I walked out with Neil Magny. I was at the UFC with TJ Dillashaw, like, or whoever it was, like, and you're like, dude, that ain't making it, man. Like,
yeah, you create an entitlement, or you create the I've already made it type scenario, and the entitlement that a lot of people tend to get based on what their social media shows. And at the end of the day, you're maybe living off somebody else's body of work, and that's why it's a slippery slope. And you know, it's really, you know, when you see depression rates as high as they are right now, and suicide rates, and you know, there's a social stigma with you know, the fear of missing out. Everybody talks about with social media, and this person, they have a perfect life, they have a wonderful life, and look at the vacations they always go on. But they're just letting you see a snapshot. Just like we said earlier, I'm letting people see a snapshot of my business. I don't let them see the snapshot of the challenging days that we had. I'm showing you the growth and the prosperity that we've had. But because of that, I think that there's this feeling that people have that I haven't done enough, or I'm not doing enough, or I'll never amount to anything because look at what these people are posting, what they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's it's fool's gold.
Yeah.
It's fool's gold.
Yeah. I mean, I just watched this little video last night about how it just drives depression.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just this constant state of depression that we're just okay with in our social media, because you're like, oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's great. Yeah. That's cool. You know, or it's like, or it's how bad everyone sucks. Like if you get on Facebook now, it's just like, you know, like Facebook is awful. Facebook, like, you know, Facebook is like how terrible everyone else is. And Instagram is look how great I am, you know, like, so it's really, Did you see the movie? This is going to sound like a tangent, but did you see the movie Bird Box? No.
Okay, I want you to watch it.
Okay.
I want you to watch it because I walked away with I haven't looked to see what the you know, the deep cult movie watchers kind of said that the underlying message was, but where
can I watch it?
You know what? I saw it on Netflix.
Okay, it's on Netflix. Got it. Okay,
yep,
go ahead.
But I think once you watch that movie, you're going to walk away that there's a massive, massive metaphor that is being put in front of us. And I think the metaphor is really social media and, you know, the fear of looking at it and getting too deep into it. Because it's pretty amazing when you actually watch this movie. I won't spoil it for you,
okay.
But there's a group of people who live very happy lives in this turmoil type scenario that's happening in the world.
Okay.
So
I'll check it out.
Definitely watch it, and maybe you and I can do a recap of it.
All right. Let's watch it. And I don't want to just crush social media, because I get a lot of positive out of it too, you know? Like people, like I try to put some stuff out there that tries to help people, and people reach out to me all the time, and you know, and like, so there is that aspect of it, but that's the slippery slope of it that we have to be careful with. You know?
I completely agree with you, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm bashing it either, because it's such a great tool.
Yeah.
You know, for keeping up with people, catching up with people, learning different things, whether it's the psychology, sociology side of things, or even for my craft. I'm sure you can probably get a lot of great things. You know, from your craft as well.
For sure. All right, man. Well, I have this 5-year-old that has a football game today, and he wakes up, man. He wakes up at like 6:45 every Saturday, right? Because that's when his football games are. He walks down the hall, gets dressed. He's been sitting in his cleats since 6:45, holding his mouthpiece in his hand, going like, "I'm ready. Let's go." Like man, this kid is. I mean,
that is special right there.
Dude, I mean, and it's all because of his brother. It's all because of his brother, because like my older boy loves sports, you know, like he was the initial sport lover, and my younger one just loves his brother so much that he's like, I'm going to show my brother how good I am. And like, they can't always watch each other. And today the older one can go to the younger one's game, and he is just fucking amped. Like he is amped, so he's going to go score some touchdowns.
Boom. Go get it done. Go get it done.
Loren, I appreciate it, man. I know you're busy, and I know you're just coming back to the podcast thing, and it really, I appreciate that. You know, I'm sure you can get a lot bigger podcasts than mine. I appreciate you making the time, you know, what it was, at 6, 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning, you know, to come on my show. I really, it makes me happy.
Man, my pleasure. And honestly, I was looking forward to it. And as I said, after reading your book, I was really inspired with a lot of the things that you said. And it was a no-brainer to get on and do this.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Like what I said in the beginning, man. It wasn't the pushing of the weight that was the amazing part about you. It was the consistency.
Boom.
It was the consistency of every day. If I knew exactly what I was getting from you as an athlete when I saw you, like I knew that the Steadman Hawkins, strength conditioning, Loren Landow experience was going to be a positive day, a positive hour of my life.
I love it.
And that's what we're here for as coaches.
And see, that right there is exactly how you guys helped me out of a difficult time, just like that. So I appreciate you, Eliot.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, Loren. It's good catching up, and we will do it again. Good. Let's go make those Broncos win.
Let's go.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Gospel Fire. Don't forget to check me out on all of my social media at FireMarshal205. Again, at FireMarshal205. Go to my YouTube channel. Fire Marshal 01, that is, for YouTube, where you can follow. I'm making these videos 100K strong. That's the goal for the year. I want 100,000 strong listeners to the Gospel of Fire. So I'm trying to make a video a week so that you guys can follow along on my journey of how I go about my day, some things that I talk about, some things that I try to work on for myself. And then finally, don't forget my website, EliotMarshall.com, where you can get up to date with everything that has to do with me personally, the Gospel of Fire. You're going to find all about my book release, also called The Gospel of Fire, February 12th. It will be for sale on Amazon that whole week for 99 cents. So all that information at EliotMarshall.com. Thanks again for listening. Thanks to my sponsors, Evo Labs and On It. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode.